Hi all and welcome back to the Eng File, a channel for engineers curated by an engineer. My name's Joanne and today's video is going to be about graduate schemes and graduate jobs. So first up, what is a graduate scheme? A graduate scheme or a graduate role is a job that you get after graduation. Simply that. Now, in terms of when you've graduated, there can be some restrictions. Some graduate schemes don't let you apply if you've graduated 5 years prior to when the scheme is going to start. For example, you must have graduated within the past 2 years of when you're applying for particular schemes. Most schemes with larger companies are like that, just so the intake is fresh and it's that you've come out fresh from uni. But other schemes, I mean, you can apply to that have longer periods of time that you've been a graduate. But a graduate scheme, normally you're looking at post-graduation, and it's normally 1 to 2 years after you've graduated and finished your course, whether that be BEng, an MEng, an MSc, or a PhD. So then next, how do you apply for a graduate scheme? There are many sites out there that are tailored to graduates and display graduate roles and hire for graduate roles. But as engineers, we're looking for specific roles within the world of engineering or with industries that are related to engineering. So these are my top 3 sites for finding graduate roles specific to engineers across many disciplines. So first up, we have GradCracker. GradCracker is a STEM only website. It displays jobs by STEM corporations or within STEM roles only. So it's very good for engineers because it has literally every engineering discipline on there, and you can filter the roles by your select discipline. So you can, for example, if you did chemical engineering like me, you would filter by chemical and process roles and apply for those roles. Or if you did mechanical engineering, you can filter for mechanical engineering roles and apply for those roles. The good thing about GradCracker is it's not only for applications and applying, you can actually track your applications through there. There are advisory documents on there to help with your CV, your cover letter. So all around, it's a great site for STEM students, and quite a lot of students don't know about it. Website number 2 is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not only for light stalking, or if you're me, heavy stalking. Like, LinkedIn is not for just looking at people and finding out, oh yeah, they've got a job or they've graduated, or, you know, just another social media site. LinkedIn is for business, and it is so, there's so much business on there. There's so much help, advice, guidance, all to do with your continued professional development or your development in general. And on top of that, they have a job search function. So you can literally put graduate engineer into LinkedIn job search function, and it will come up with graduate roles. Those same graduate roles that are on GradCracker are also on LinkedIn. Large companies display their graduate roles on LinkedIn, so you can apply through there. And also some smaller companies apply list their job roles on LinkedIn, and when you apply, your profile actually automatically gets shared with them, so they can see who you are, your experiences, what uni you're at, all the information that you've got on your LinkedIn profile, basically, who you're connected with. And actually it's quite a nice way for companies to get an introduction to you. And I always do say this, your LinkedIn profile is important because recruiters and hiring managers look at your LinkedIn profile regardless. Even if you've applied through GradCracker, like my personal experience, when I applied for my Airbus graduate scheme, before I even got invited to assessment center, people from Airbus were looking at my LinkedIn profile, because your LinkedIn tells you, oh, this person's just looked at your profile. And people from Airbus were looking at it, and I was thinking, aha, this means that they've seen my application. They know who I am. They're digging. People like to dig about people. They want to find out more about me. And through my LinkedIn, I could see that they were looking at me, they were noticing me. So it's such an important and powerful tool, and it's used massively. Last up is CV Library. CV Library, I say, is like a job search haven. You can set up what search you want. So for example, if you're looking for mechanical engineering roles within London or 10 miles from London, with a certain salary, you can set up a personalized job search and get personalized job alerts when those kinds of jobs come up, specific to being a graduate. You can also put your CV on there. That's the purpose of it, for you to put your CV on there, and recruiters can look at your CV and get in contact with you. I've had so many people contact me off CV Library just from listing my CV on there, offering me jobs. And it's a great way of, you know, seeing what your CV attracts and who your CV attracts, and what kind of roles you're getting offered. So I know for the longest time, because of my industrial placement at GSK, whenever I put my CV on CV Library, I get a lot of attraction for jobs within the pharmaceutical industry, and that's because I've worked in pharma. So you know, you can see what your CV is tailored to and what your skill set is tailored to by what jobs that recruiters are willing to put you forward for. And yes, there are graduate recruiters. Recruitment isn't only for, you know, CEOs and CFOs. Like, there are people out there looking for you. Next up is the actual application process. So you've been on GradCracker, you've been on LinkedIn, you've been on CV Library, you've found your job roles. What is next? Well, with GradCracker and LinkedIn, you tend to get taken to the company site depending on how large the company is and what kind of role you're applying for. If it's a scheme, you definitely get taken to the company's personal website and you apply through there. And usually the first stage is CV and cover letter. Now, my advice is do not slack on your cover letter. And I know it gets tedious, because with graduate scheme applications, I don't know a single person that's done one application and got the role for graduate schemes. So you're going to have to do many. I mean, when I was applying, I think I did 35 to 40 applications. I had a graduate scheme tracker. I knew what stage I was at every company that I'd applied to, and I had a list of over 200 companies that had graduate schemes either tailored to me or other disciplines. So, you know, you've got to keep track of it, and it's not going to be a one and done situation. I mean, if it has been for you, let me know how you did it. I need your tips, I need your skills and expertise. So yeah, your first step will be your CV. Tailor your cover letter to the company, guys. They are looking for a specific skill set, but they're looking for graduates. So if you think about how many people are next to you in your class, you're all getting the same education. You all have the same learning. Yes, you might not all study the same amount and retain the same amount, but you're all being offered same opportunity within your lessons, right? So what makes you different from Bob next to you? What makes you different from Karen in the front row? Yeah, that's what that's what your cover letter is going to display, and also your CV, depending on the other experiences that you've had in your life. But if all of you, let's say for example, haven't had part-time jobs, you haven't had volunteering experience, you maybe didn't join societies, and all you've got is your degree, what is going to distinguish you from this other candidate that also only has their degree or is only studying towards their degree? It's going to be your cover letter. Because in your cover letter, you're going to highlight your interests. You're going to highlight how your personality matches the company. You're going to highlight these things that make you different from Karen in the front row and Bob next to you. So do not slack on your cover letter. So after CV and cover letter, stage 2 is normally some sort of situational judgment test or psychometric test. Graduate scheme application process is a very long-winded process. If you've made it to stage 3, you're probably tired, because you've got to stage 3 of maybe like 20 out of the 35 or 40 or 50 that you've applied for. So by this stage, you know, prepare for rejection, and it's normal and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with you. There's just so much competition. Think about how many people are graduating up and down the country, and then also international students going for the same roles. You know, there's a ton of people applying for the same position. So sometimes your rejection isn't just like, it's not about you, it's just, you know, maybe your application has been not looked at through the process. That happens. Maybe it was skimmed and this person just decided no, yes, no, yes. Like, there's so many reasons. And sometimes, yes, it is because your CV or your cover letter or your situational judgment test and psychometric test wasn't up to standard. So there's a plethora of reasons, and unless you reach out to the company, you will never know why it was. You know, I've applied for graduate schemes and my application just never even be like looked at, or I've done the situational judgment test and just never even been replied to. So it happens, right? And you just have to count that as a rejection, and that's fine. On your stage 3 or 4, which is your assessment center, and you've been lucky enough to pass it, and you get that call saying, yes, we want to give you a job role, and you've accepted. Usually after that, you go through some checks. The graduate scheme or graduate job role would have a bunch of requirements, so it might be 2-1 and above, or 2-2 and above, and then as soon as you accept your offer, you would literally just focus on uni. So it's quite nice to apply early and get this offer around this time in January, because then for the rest of the year, you don't have to think about a single thing. Like, all you have to think about is university. You'll have a nice little summer break, and then in September, you'll start in the working world. And it's fine if you've left it later. I mean, assessment centres are normally run up until April times, May times, and even after then, just because the company has given people offers doesn't mean that people are going to take them. So the company are going to run assessment centres until all the roles are filled, until they're all taken up, and then when they're taken up, they'll stop running the assessment centres. So just because you're not in the January intake, or even, I think there is one slightly before January, sometimes there are November ones, just because you're not in the first 2 doesn't mean that you won't get another opportunity to be invited to an assessment centre. That's all to do with the company hiring, the amounts of offers they give out at any given time, and then the amount of people that actually say yes. So yeah, don't be alarmed if it takes a bit longer. Just to give a little overview, 3 good sites to find graduate roles and graduate schemes: Cracker, LinkedIn, and CV Library. Number 2 is the application process. It is a 3-4 stage process. It is long. Start a tracker. 100% have a tracker. Know when you applied for the role, when the application is due, because sometimes it takes a very long time to get through the applications. So you might start it and not finish it on the same day. And especially if you've done more than one in one day, you know, you're going to have burnout. You're going to stop at some point. It gets quite long saying why you want to work for each company, and your answer can't be, I need a job, I need money. If you guys would like, comment down below. I can show you what my tracker looked like and share it with you guys. For my 3rd and final tip, breathe through this process. It is long, it is tedious, it can be very draining, but it's actually very positive as well. You will discover things about yourself that you didn't know. I had no idea that I would love to go into aerospace before I started looking for jobs, and yeah, so I discovered something new about myself, and you will too. You will be resilient because, you know, you're going to push through this process, and in the end of it, you will have your reward, hopefully, which would be the graduate scheme. So just hang in there, and don't let it consume you. You know, take your time. There's no rush per se. Like, if you're not sure if you want to do one, you're a bit on the fence, could try a couple applications. If it's not working out and you think, actually, I need to take a gap year after uni, I'm tired, I've spent 4 years studying, you know, do what you need to do what's best for you. And actually, if it's not a graduate scheme, you can still get a job. You can get entry-level roles into companies. You could just get normal roles into companies. So it's not always about a graduate scheme, and you have to kind of weigh up the pros and cons of doing a graduate scheme. I hope to see you guys soon in the next video. Thank you for watching, and subscribe, comment and like down below, and we'll have a new video soon. Bye guys.